Oh, sweet.
Welcome to another edition of Damaged Chronicles, episode number 7. That's right. And, big one tonight, we are going to review the 15th studio album by death metal legends, Cannibal Corpse. That's right. And of course, the album we're going to be reviewing is Violence Unimagined, released on April 16th of 2021. Now, there was a 4-year gap between albums, which is definitely the longest gap Cannibal Corpse has had between albums.
But if you were to understand what has happened in between, obviously, for a certain reason, this is the first album that Eric Rutan is on guitar duty, and that is because a certain former guitarist, his name is Pat O'Brien, did some
pretty crazy shit. Yes,
crazy cuckoo shit. And basically, I don't know how long. I don't know what happened, sentence or something like that. But basically, that made him be forced out of the band, and then they essentially recruited Eric Rutan, who had, up until this point, had been working with Cannibal Corpse on albums like Kill, Evisceration Play, Torture, and the previous album, Red Before the Black.
Yep.
But now he's officially a full-fledged member of the band.
Which I gotta say, to me, he's a perfect fit. So anyways,
he has had history with death metal. Obviously, he has his band, Hate Eternal. He was also in Morbid Angel for a time.
Yep.
On greats like, I'm pretty sure he was on Covenant with Morbid Angel.
He was also in, I believe he was in
Ripping Corpse.
Ripping Corpse. Yeah, Ripping Corpse. He was in Ripping Corpse, yes. Ripping Corpse, that's right. Played on Morbid Angel's Gateways to Annihilation. To me, one of the most underrated Morbid Angel albums. So yeah.
And was also on Covenant by Morbid Angel as well, obviously. So he knows a thing or two about death metal, obviously.
Exactly, yep. He definitely knows his craft. And plus, he's produced a bunch of bands, too. Anyways, lineup wise, of course, you got the big man, George Corpse Grinder Fisher on vocals.
Thick neck and all.
Yep. Got Eric Rutan on guitars, obviously. Lead guitars and backing vocals. You got Rob Barrett on lead guitars, who, has been in and out of the band. But he's been, pretty much with Cannibal Corpse since, I believe, Kill. I think Kill was his comeback album. Because he had played on The Bleeding and Vile also back in the 90s.
Yes.
So you got Alex Webster on bass, obviously, and you got Paul Mazurker-Witt on drums.
Who have been in the band since the beginning.
Exactly, yep. The only two original members. But yeah, artwork done by Vince Locke, who's been doing their artwork ever since the beginning, back on Eaten Back to Life.
Yes.
And we got Mike Ross, King of Swords here. Welcome to the stream. In our review. Yep. Alright, so pretty much this album was recorded between April of 2020 up till August of 2020 at Mana Recording Studios in Tampa, Florida. Obviously, it's death metal.
Yeah.
And of course, it's on Metal Blade Records. They've been with Metal Blade Records since their first album. Yeah, they've never been on another label. So yeah, they're basically Metal Blade homebound. One of the oldest bands on Metal Blade Records, too. Up there with Fate. I think Fate's Warning's actually the oldest band on Metal Blade Records, but... Yeah, but anyways, 15 albums. We're going to get right into it right now, track by track. So let's begin here with the opening track, Murderous Rampage. And right away, the album punches you square in the freaking mouth, man. Now, the thing I noticed about this track, it has a bit more of a thrash influence, kind of going back to beating back to life a little bit. So yeah, you get a little bit of thrash. It's a ferocious track. Corpse Grinder sounds killer. It's just a great way to begin this Cannibal Corpse album.
Yeah,
and in typical fashion, because all their albums begin brutal. So, what's your thoughts on Murderous Rampage?
I like to listen to it, but obviously this being my first Cannibal Corpse album that I've ever listened to since Torture, which has been over a decade, I knew I wasn't going to miss anything much. I knew what they were all about, but I absolutely enjoyed it. There's nothing wrong with listening to some Cannibal Corpse, obviously. It's been so long since I've listened to it, but obviously it's good to know that some things have never changed. We'll get to some. I don't know if this was one of those songs, but some of the songs on here were kind of a little bit groovy. A little bit.
I noticed that too, yeah.
I don't know if this was one of those that had groove. This one might have some groove in there, but I'm like, ooh, this is pretty good. Got some good groovy, catchy riffs here and there. It's really good. Cool.
That's definitely the notable thing right away. I definitely noticed the catchy riffs in this opening track right away. I mean, the riffs definitely stand out, which I think some of the past Cannibal Corpse albums might have suffered from. The riffs didn't really stand out as well, but on here, I gotta say, man, they sound pretty monstrous. And yes, Murderous Rampage, written by Paul Mazurkiewicz and Rob Barrett, by the way. Clocks in at about 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Yeah, just a brutal track. So now we move on to Necrogenic Resurrection, written by Alex Webster. And here, this track pretty much continues the thrash, Murderous Rampage, but this one has a really brutal beatdown riff, and I'm talking the midsection gets so freaking heavy. It's just one of them slow, pounding heavy riffs that, yeah, it's like a... I love it. It sounds so freaking heavy. It sounds great in the car when I'm listening to driving around. Heck yeah. Every time that section comes on, I just want to turn the volume up and blast it because it's so killer. But yeah, I would definitely easily say this might be one of my favorite tracks off this album. It's definitely got riffs that stand out. There's excellent guitar solos in here, and that's a notable thing too. When I'm listening to this album, I noticed there's a lot more guitar solos on this new Cannibal Corpse album compared to, some of their past albums. And you can definitely hear Eric Rutan's influence throughout the album. So yeah, it's definitely a brutal, pounding, heavy track. I really enjoy this track. Yeah, man, what's your thoughts on Necrogenic Resurrection, Mr. Ryan Arnold?
To be honest, really, some of these songs have been really consistent. This was just another consistent one. Really nothing too special about it. Was just another, Cannibal Corpse song that, had that grooviness, but you obviously get the death metal and all that stuff. It's nothing too special. It's not like any other song that I would say later on that I would eventually like. But this one really didn't grab me. It was great. It was a great listen, but it really didn't grab me as much.
Well, understandable, I guess. Anyways, moving on. Now, this track right here was actually the first single released from this album, released back in February. Inhumane Harvest, written by Rob Barrett. Now, this track, to me, really sounds like old-school Cannibal Corpse with Barnes. like to me, it's got the heaviness of Tombs of the Mutilated. It's definitely a throwback to something like Tombs of the Mutilated, sound wise. I like how it's orchestrated. Yeah, it's got the groovy riffs, then it's got the blast beat section. And the thing notable too, when you hear when you hear Paul Mazurkowitz do a blast beat, you automatically know it's him behind the drums. Because there's just something about the way he does blast beats.
And that's kind of interesting you mentioned that, chime in. Rob Barrett wasn't on Tomb of the Mutilated.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, you had Bob Rutsey and Jack Owen on there.
Yep, and Jack Owen actually did all the guitar work on Tombs of the Mutilated, which some people might not actually know. But yeah, because apparently Bob Rousset, excuse me, had trouble keeping up with the riffs in the studio. So Jack Owen just recorded all those riffs. He recorded all the guitar tracks on Tombs of the Mutilated, which is kind of interesting for those who don't know that. But yeah, anyways, we got a little off track there. Now we're talking about Tombs of the Mutilated, but it kind of lines up with what we're talking about here because, like I said, I think Inhumane Harvest definitely sounds like it could have been on Tombs of the Mutilated. It's got that heavy, crunchy sound. Again, another track, too, that has riffs that stand out. This album's definitely loaded with riffs. So, what's your thoughts on this track?
With you mentioning it, yeah, it did kind of sound. I'm just trying to remember because it was a while ago that I was listening to this, but some of the stuff really, like this was another one that I was like, just going through it and listening to it and was like, okay, really enjoyable. But yeah, I might have to go back and listen to it again. Listen to that song, and if I do hear something that it would be from Tomb of the Mutilated, then I might, who knows, I might agree with you. But I think for now, just remembering, enjoying it. That's all I can say.
Okay. All right, so up next we got Condemnation Contagion, written by Eric Rutan. First contribution to the album. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, his first contribution to the album. Yes, now this track, like you mentioned earlier about the groove, this one definitely has the groove.
Yeah.
It's more of a groovy track. It's got some pounding riffs in it. The subject matter for this track is actually very different for Cannibal Corpse too. Because this one's basically talking about how fucked up the world is. Which is something Cannibal Corpse never really delved into.
Yeah.
I mean, usually when you listen to a Cannibal Corpse album, lyrically, you know what you're going to get, gore and about killing people, But yeah, this track's very different. It almost sounds like it could be a Morbid Angel leftover, in a way.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
I could definitely hear some of his Morbid Angel influence. Maybe even a little bit of Hate Eternal. But yeah, definitely a different kind of track for Cannibal Corpse, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. What's your thoughts of it?
Yeah, I think this was one of those songs that I did enjoy because I knew it was pretty damn groovy. Yeah, I was thinking the whole Morbid Angel sound. Maybe some of that Hate Eternal, and yeah, it's kind of an interesting track. You mentioned that obviously him raving about it and how the lyrical content you said about it. I was just like, wow, this is very interesting. Just hear you say about that, but obviously I enjoyed it. The grooviness, was prevalent. And I did enjoy that.
Yeah, it's an excellent track. I mean, hopefully, they continue in more of that direction on their next album.
Hell yeah.
Would be interesting. Thing I'm going to bring up too, which we were talking about before we went live, is Paul Mazurkowitz's drumming on here. I noticed his drumming's more technical on here. compared to past albums.
Yes.
But it's not like overly technical to the point where, it sounds like he's just showing up. Like he adds the technical drum parts in, where it's needed, and it works.
The album as a whole is more of a guitar and drum oriented, not vocals are there, but bass not so much, which is kind of shocking considering, it's Cannibal Corpse, it's Alex freaking Webster, he's a Steve Harris, a death metal bassist and all that stuff. But it kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of weird too. I noticed that too. There's not a lot of Alex Webster on here. Like, I mean, you can hear him on tracks like the track we just talked about, obviously, Condemnation, Contagion. You can hear his bass tracks, but for the most part, yeah, it's more of a guitar and drum-driven album.
Yeah, he's basically in the back, which surprises me. Maybe he has something to do. Maybe he just, wanted to be in the back because he really didn't have much, to contribute.
It's hard to tell. Could be that reason.
Yeah.
So right now we are up to track 5. Surround, kill. And devour.
This was one of those that I felt stood out to me.
This is a fucking great track.
I'll go first in this one.
Go ahead.
I loved this track. This was where the groove was actually there. There was tons of groove. I was like, this was definitely one of the highlight songs on the album, easily. In my opinion, like easily my favorite off this album. One of my favorites off this album. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites.
I totally agree. We got an old friend of mine here in the chat room. I haven't talked to this dude in a long time. We got Dustin Flick in here. Yeah, we got Flick in the chat room. Welcome. His nickname's Flick.
Nice to meet you, dude.
Hope all's good with you. Hope you're still playing guitar too. Yeah, this dude's a really good guitar player too. He's into death metal. But yeah, I definitely agree. Eric Rutan made this band more riff focused. I definitely agree.
Yes,
I absolutely
especially
agree.
on Surround, Kill, Devour, and I guess the previous track too. But yeah, going back to that song, it's easily one of my favorites off the album. Easily.
Hell yeah, brother. We'll always stay metal. But yeah, it's an excellent track, man. It's probably it might actually be my favorite on here. It's got that groove. There's parts of it too that remind me of The Bleeding. Like, it's definitely a throwback to that album a little bit, where it gets a little faster. Kind of reminds me of The Bleeding. Pertainly tracks like Fucked with a Knife. Some of the groove I can hear in this track.
When it comes to song titles, nothing beats Fucked with a Knife.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's a classic, too. But yeah, man, this is an excellent freaking track. I love it. Yeah, it's definitely fun driving to work this week, blasting this in the vehicle, man. Yeah, excellent track. So yeah, that one was written by Alex Webster. But yeah, you can definitely tell. It's got that Alex Webster groove to it. All right, so up
one
next.
Of those that I didn't know it was an freaking Alex Webster song. Damn, it was pretty good.
Yeah. I agree, very groovy. All right, up next we got Ritual Annihilation. Written by Eric Rutan also. Again, it's another track that's got a bit more groove to it.
Yes, another one of my favorites.
Now this track, too, I can really hear the Haiti Turtle influence, especially in the guitar playing. There's something definitely unique about it. Another thing I noticed, too, there's a lot more guitar harmony solos, too, within this album. Something Cannibal Corpse never really did much of in the past. So yeah, you can definitely tell that Eric Rutan's on board, doing a lot of the solos here, But it's an excellent track too. It's got that groove and heaviness, and I enjoy it. What's your thoughts of Ritual Annihilation?
Just another one of my favorites off the album. Groovy. At some point, I'll clarify that I just can't remember much about this album, but I do remember this one was. So at some point, I might do my own review of this and actually go through all of it. I'm just trying to go through this, but for what I remember, definitely very groovy. Just like Surround, Kill, Devour. Loved it. Every single minute of it. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely an excellent track in my opinion. So up next we got Follow the Blood, written by Rob Barrett. Now this track, again, it's another pretty solid track. However, it might be a tad forgettable. I'm having a little bit of trouble remembering this track off the top of my head. So, but from what I remember, it's a decent track, but it's one that don't stand out like the rest of the tracks, do.
Yeah,
and that's kind of my opinion of Follow the Blood. Not a bad track, just one that don't quite stand out as well.
I am pretty much the same. I can't remember much about this one as either, just coming out off of two back-to-back really groovy and two of my favorite songs on the album. I just don't remember much about this one either.
Right. All right. So we're up to track 8 here. We got Bond and Burned. Another one of my favorite tracks on here, written by Rob Barrett too. Again, this is a very different track for Cannibal Corpse. There's 7 different guitar solos in this track for one, which Cannibal Corpse never really ever did. It's like on this track they were trying to do like a Megadeth type of thing, like on Rust in Peace, where you have a bunch of guitar solo separations throughout the track. It's very different. It's another groovier track. I mean, you got your blast beats moments and stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty damn groovy. And I think the track really stands out, I think it's a pretty damn good track. What's your thoughts of Bond and Burned?
I definitely agree with you. It just felt, just listening to it felt different. It just felt different than, some of the other songs, like, the crazy amount of guitar solos they had put onto there. But overall, I did enjoy it. It's a highlight on the album, easily.
Right. I agree, man. It's definitely up there as being one of my favorite tracks, too. I mean, just an excellent track. So then we get, a typical Cannibal Corpse song here, Slowly Sawn. Written by Alex Webster. Pretty much a brutal track, Not a whole lot to really say about it. Again, it's a good track.
I believe this might have been one of the moments where bass was kind of prevalent, I believe.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. A little bit more. Like, to me, again, it's another track that don't completely stand out to me. Don't get me wrong, it's decent, but again, I'm having trouble remembering a lot of it,
Yeah, I have to go back because we were just doing this off of, I don't know how many listens we have combined off of this.
Oh man, I've listened to this album
once, so basically when I'll make a video where at least I will be more in detail about each song and stuff like that.
Right. I'm gonna say I probably have I probably have 9 or 10 listens now of this new album. And yeah, it's just a song that doesn't really stand out like the rest. But overall, it's still decent from what I remember.
Yeah.
Now we got the shortest track on the album and the fastest track on the album, Over Torture. Dude, I love that name. That's a cool fucking name.
I'll go first about this. Short, sweet, straight to the point, freaking awesome.
Yep.
Freaking
go
awesome
ahead.
Death metal. Kind of a little bit, I will say this is one I kind of do remember because it was short, like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, this is pretty short. I'm like, okay, short, sweet, straight to the point. I kind of like that. especially when it's like,
right.
Bands like the grindcore bands. I like it when some bands that do that. I guess it's one of my underrated genres that I kind of like, grindcore. Bands, they tend to make short, sweet, straight to the point songs. They don't stick around. This feels like it could have been, this might be them trying to go grindcore a little bit, but, it felt because, bands like that, do short, sweet, straight to the point stuff. I actually liked it, and it didn't waste my time. It was boom, and it was done.
Right. Yeah, this one was also written by Eric Rutan.
God, the best guy. One guy makes the shortest song. I'm pretty sure this has to be the shortest Cannibal Corpse song ever.
Over Torture, dude. I love that name. That would be an awesome band name. That makes me want to almost change my band name to Over Torture. I'm not going to do that, but that's a cool fucking title, though. I do like it.
Yeah, Over definitely. Torture. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, dude, this song's fast, just straight to the point. Sounds like it could have been off of Kill or Gallery of Suicide. When it comes to the speed and aggression of it. Like, it kind of reminds me of a track like I Will Kill You. Or, one of their faster tracks,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely the shortest track, the fastest track, and to the point. And don't fuck around.
And it's an awesome track. I say Over Torture is probably the best song on this album, bar none. It backs around Kill, Devour, and Ritualistic Annihilation. Over Torture is the best one.
It's a cool track. I do like it. It's like being run over by a fucking train. It just hits you that hard and fast. Great track. Yes. So now we've reached the end of the album.
Yeah.
Cerements of the Flayed. Written by Paul Mazurkiewicz and Alex Webster. This track, again, it has some pumbling riffs in it. It's, again, more mid-paced. It's got a good bit of groove in it, I really like it, It's definitely heavy as fuck. It's brutal. And yeah, that's all I can really say. It's just got some great standout guitar riffs on it. I really enjoyed this track to end out the album. What's your thoughts of this track?
Again, it's one of those that I just listened to and I enjoyed it. It's a good way to end, what is pretty much a standard Cannibal Corpse album. I did enjoy listening to it, and yeah, I don't have much to say. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's a really cool track. Overall, I'm going to say right now, this is definitely the best Cannibal Corpse album, probably since Torture or Kill, easily. I mean, this is a very strong album. I definitely think it's better than the last album, Red Before Black. The riffs definitely stand out a lot more, and Eric Rutan is definitely a perfect fit for Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
So my score, I'm going to give this album a 9 out of 10. There's only two tracks.
I give it the same. I give it the thumbs up of approval. I normally don't do scores. I say it's a good album. It's a thumbs up album. Obviously, it's a Cannibal Corpse album. You know what you're gonna get. Obviously, I have no complaints when it comes to a Cannibal Corpse album. For the first one for me in over almost a decade since Torture, I do kind of agree that it is their best since Torture. And I remember I used to own Torture at some point back in 2012, and I got a buttload of CDs when it comes to that from that year. But yeah, I would also kind of agree with the score, 9 out of 10. It was pretty. I think I even gave back in the day. I might have given Torture the same score.
Okay.
But I might have to look at I might have to look if I did actually review it back in the day. But who knows? I completely don't know if I did review Torture or not. But I did probably would give it the same score of 9 out of 10. Yep. But yeah, Wicked Violence Unimagined is definitely a 9 out of 10. You're not getting much from a death metal album.
Right, exactly. Now this album, yes, oh my god, man. Gotta be honest, I'm ready for album number 16. That's how much I love this album. It's good.
Like I said,
great.
yeah, I'll say, like I said, there'll be a more separate video. So from
like I know some
this album, definitely. I just
like
need
I
to
know
give
some
it more. I just need to give it more listens after only listening to it all the way through once. So I got to go through it all over. But I do say, from what I remember listening to it, I do agree that a 9 is right where it is. Easily.
Excellent. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, Cannibal Corpse is one of them bands. I mean, pretty much they got a stellar discography. They
Not
got a lot of
perfect.
great
It's not
albums.
perfect. I mean, there isn't a perfect Cannibal Corpse album. If we were to say what the closest one would probably be either Butchered at Birth or Tomb of the Mutilated.
Oh, I agree, Mike. This album's definitely excellent.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely thinking of getting this album. Definitely. As you can see, it's right in front above us. We're at least covering it up.
Of course, y'all know I already got my copy. Now I do plan on getting this on vinyl too. I saw the vinyl; it looks cool as hell, man. So I'm definitely planning on getting this on vinyl too.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I might just get it on CD because it's been a while since I've had a Cannibal Corpse album. I think I still have some, maybe Evisceration Plate, but this is another one. This is a Cannibal Corpse album I will definitely get. Easily.
Right. But yeah, man, great album. Like I said, man, I'm already ready for album number 16, which will probably come out in the next couple years, hopefully, you know. And it's amazing that these guys are now in their 50s and can play the way they play. I mean,
yes.
My God, man. Yeah, I'm definitely getting it on vinyl too, man. Believe me.
There's only a handful. I don't really think anything from this year so far I would get on vinyl. To be honest, maybe more so CD because it's a lot cheaper. It's only vinyl.
Oh, I agree.
It's only like if there's an album I will absolutely love it, I'd make it be number one for me. You know.
Yep.
This
like me,
this won't probably be a number one album. You know.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, yeah, this one's definitely going to be high up in my rankings for 2021 when I go and do my album rankings for 2021. It's definitely going to be high up.
We'll obviously be doing that together. Just got to compile albums. Basically.
Yeah. Yes. Most definitely. Well, that is our review for the new Cannibal Corpse album, Violence Unimagined. I definitely recommend you all pick it up. Keep supporting the band. Keep supporting music. Keep supporting
buy it. I'm pretty sure it's everywhere. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify. It's probably more than likely on Bandcamp because Metal Blade is on Bandcamp.
Yep.
So definitely this album will more than likely be on Bandcamp.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's Cannibal Corpse. It's going to be easy to find.
Yeah, easily.
But yep. Strong album by these death metal legends. That's pretty much it for tonight's episode of Damaged Chronicles. And we will be back for more. Keep it metal. Peace
Peace out, everybody.